get some instructions on your bench when it arrives. So you're gonna take the top, it'll look like this. You're gonna flip it over to the bottom side, there'll be an arrow on it. You're gonna lay this down on a soft surface, make sure it's clear of any debris. It's gonna lay it flat down with the arrow facing towards you. Next, we're gonna grab our top support piece. It'll look like this. It'll have an arrow on the bottom and have a 1 on it. So you just put it on the top like this with the arrow facing towards you. Next, we're gonna grab our bench ends. These are gonna have an L or an R on them. So from where I'm sitting, this one's gonna go on my left side, like this, because it's got an L on it. We're gonna open up our hardware pack and find the silver screws. Should be some black and some silver screws in here, so just sort out the silver screws, the longer ones. You can either use a Phillips or a number 2 square screwdriver on these. The screws will work with either. I prefer a number 2 square bit, but they work with either. Just get a little bit longer of a bit if you're using a drill, or you can use a screwdriver. Okay, so what you're gonna do is just make sure it's flush along this outside edge. Just bump it up to this piece. There's some pocket screws right here. And you're just gonna screw them into that. Again, make sure it's nice and flush along this outside edge. You want to kind of hold them together with your fingers as you're putting the screws in. And we're just going to continue to do this here. Don't like over tighten them down, just tighten them down the way they're nice and snug. I'm going to jump over and grab our other piece. It should have an R on the bottom. It's going to go on my right side over here. We're just going to do the same thing. Make sure it's flush on this outside edge. Kind of hold it together with your fingers. And install all the screws pre-drilled, so they should all line up. Okay, once that's complete, you're going to notice on the top there's some marks. If I see them in the video, you're going to put the corners of the bench inside those marks. Just like this. And then you take these screws right up here. There's another pocket hole that goes down into the bench. I drop down and do this end, same way. So just make sure it's inside those lines. And then there's some holes right here. More screws here. Okay, at this point we're ready for our center divider and shelf piece. We're gonna grab this piece right here. It's gonna have number 2 on the bottom. Then we're gonna grab our center divider. It'll look like this. You'll notice on the bottom of this, there's a blue arrow. Just put that on your left side. These holes should be facing up, and the larger gap will be on this side. Main thing is just have the holes facing up. And we're gonna take this, have the arrow pointing towards our left, just like this. Those little pins are going to line up into the holes and go together. And then we're going to install these pocket screws right here. And with those pins lined up, this should just self-align as you put these screws in. Tighten those down. And then we're going to slide this right into this, right in front of this shelf divider piece right here, or this support piece. We're just going to make sure it's pushed all the way back against. Grab a couple more screws. You'll notice there's a line right here. Just going to put the bottom of this shelf piece even with that line. Same thing over here. Make sure it's even with the line. Screws. Next, we're going to jump down underneath down here. There's 2 more screws that go into that center divider. Okay. And then we're going to grab our bottom piece. It's going to look like this. It's also going to have an arrow on it. We labeled 3. Just point the arrow towards you. We're just going to gently drop this in right here. More screws. You'll notice the same thing down here. There's a line. It's kind of hard to see in the video, but you should be able to see it pretty well. There's just a line right there. You're gonna put the bottom of the shelf even with that line. Make sure it's flush on this outside edge. Install your screw. Just start kind of slow to make sure everything's lined up the way it's supposed to be. We need to move this up or down to get it even with the bottom of that line. And screws. Okay, jump over to the other side over here. Same thing here, you may need to press it down a little bit, make sure you can see that line, get even with the line. Okay, and then your center divider piece, you can make sure it's flush along this outside edge. So meaning to push it in a little bit or pull it out a little bit, whatever it takes to get it just nice and flush along this outside edge. And then there's 2 screws that go in right here. Okay, once that's complete, you're gonna need to grab the small black screws. This does require a Phillips bit only for these black screws. So if you're using a number 2 square, you will need to switch over to a Phillips bit or use a screwdriver. We're going to grab these screws, slide around here so you can see. So we're going to grab these back pieces. They're going to have some arrows on them. Find the one labeled number 1. These arrows are going to go down towards the top of the bench like this. And they're just going to slide all the way down against this piece and right in there. The first one. We're going to install the screws on the bottom down here. Again, these are those short black screws. We're going to grab number 2 shelf. It's just going to sit right on top of that other one. Same thing here. You're just going to continue to go through and just installing all of these screws. Once you have all these screws done, you're going to grab your other divider piece. Back piece, sorry. It's going to be labeled with the number 3, and it's just going to go in this final remaining spot right there. Screw that goes in right where all these pieces come together right here, right in the corner, just to hold those together. Another one here yet to get put in, and another one down here. Okay. At this point, flip the bench back up. And that completes your bench assembly. Let me know if you have any questions, any problems with assembly. Thank you.